All right, good evening, ladies and well, not ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, gentlemen. I'm sorry. It's evening for South Africa. Good afternoon for my people in America. I appreciate you all for joining tonight's show. My name is Marcus Bradley, founder and host of the XY Perspective. We are talking about broke versus poor as a man thinking tonight. Um, it's a very important topic that we're talking about. It's something that we don't usually talk about, or when we do talk about it, it's kind of embellished because there's a whole bunch of craziness going on when we do speak about it. And it's a topic that men don't like to admit when something is wrong or when something is right. Um, but here on the XY Perspective, we tackle those tough issues. We break it down. We hear everybody's thoughts and opinions, and we just try to make everyone better than when they can. So I appreciate both of my participants tonight so far. I think with it being a little earlier in America, we'll get some late joinees. We got a couple people listening in, so we're gonna go with that. Mr. Rob, appreciate you. Mr. Kenan, I appreciate you as well for joining. Gentlemen, broke versus poor as a man think. Let's get into it. Mr. Rob, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna grind it out. For those who don't know, Mr. Rob is a career veteran. He is a retired Navy service member. How many years did you serve, Mr. Rob?
26.
26, 2.5 plus 1 decade.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. And Mr. Keenan is a first-time joiner. He'll be popping in and out as much as he can. So, and he just had a birthday yesterday, turns 35 years old. So happy birthday, Mr. Keenan. Let's get into it. My first question to you, Mr. Rob, as we're going one-on-one, take as much time as you need. All
All
right.
right.
I want you to agree or disagree with these statements. All right. And you can elaborate on which one if you want to. Poor is a mental state tied to beliefs about wealth, and broke is a financial state tied to a lack of resources and capital.
Well, I kind of agree with both statements. Poor is definitely a mental state
Yes, sir.
because systems, I say maybe globally, are set to where some people remain poor because they don't get the opportunity to lift themselves up by the bootstraps, as one would say.
Right.
Um, when someone is always looking to bring you down or think they're handing you out something, which but the handout is really something to keep you down, um, and it's to keep you always looking up at a certain type of person for guidance when you should be looking at yourself.
Right. And I think a lot of people miss that when you say poor as a is a mental state. I think being poor for myself, I think being poor has absolutely nothing to do with finance.
Right?
I just
Not at
I,
all.
I think your situation sometimes dictates it. I think your upbringing dictates it, and
Yes.
like your generational training, so to speak, or lack thereof. I mean, any
Right.
number of reasons other than finance. I think it's more to it than I just ain't got no money. I think that is broke, ain't got no money. But I think poor is just laziness. I think I don't want to say it's lazy, but I think you're just lazy. It's just a lack of
Well, you don't
effort
want
on
to
your part.
use that. I mean, some a lot and to me in a lot of cases, yes, it is that. But in some cases, you have people that really want to get out of their situation. Maybe they just don't have the tools to do that,
Right,
and but it's also up to them to seek the tools, to seek knowledge, to seek whatever guidance that they need. And sometimes they don't know where to go.
right,
But you have to keep trying.
right. And this is where we as men fall important in our community because we have that knowledge. We may not be the most successful. We may not be the richest, or we may not have the most stuff. But what we do have is life experience.
Yes.
And if we had the ability to mentor, or we had the ability to share that knowledge like we all want to do, I think most men want to have a platform to speak on and give people an opportunity to listen to them, and just just hear their life experience, and just share the information, share the knowledge, share this wealth that we got, and this can make our community better. Not necessarily throwing a whole bunch of dollars at it, because we know what happens when you throw money down a pit. It just keep
Right.
eating up money. Yeah, yeah, you never feel the pit. So I think it's incumbent, I'll use that word, upon us as men to share the wealth that we have, and we both know that knowledge is power.
Yes, indeed.
So, and you can have money, but I think that's false power. But if that's all they see, that's what we emulate.
Because even sometimes with people that have the poor mentality, you can give them money and they'll spend that money so fast, they won't even know what happened. Before you know it, it's gone.
And that's another part of that poor mentality too. We're not used to living with money.
Right.
We can always, we know how to struggle and get by without money. We know
Right.
we're
Right.
real good at that.
Right.
But when we get a little money, we don't put none away. We don't save nothing. We spend it
Nothing.
as we can get it and be right back broke. And then now we're comfortable again because now we know how to struggle. We know how to get by with a little bit. But that's just like I said before, I think that's just a lack of training from a superior male or an older male that can teach you these tips and trade secrets, how to live with money and not just be broke. We don't need to see no broke days. None of them.
Right.
See that. It's too much wealth. It's too much wealth in the Black community for us to be walking around broke.
I totally agree with that.
I think in 2023, I think Department of Finance or whatever reported Black community contributed $1.2 trillion to the U.S. economy. 1.2 trillion. That's what $1 trillion. And what we did with it, bought a bunch of crap, wigs and cars and shoes,
Right.
and stuff that just don't appreciate. No asset. But I think that's just a lack of financial training. That's
It
my opinion.
is. It is. It definitely is. But it's also, like you said, it's a lack of just training in period.
Yeah.
Because right, because like you said, people want all the great things, but they don't. First of all, they really don't want to work for them.
No.
And then secondly, to me, is that just like we just touched on, when they do have it, it goes quickly. It's like like a burning hole in a pocket, and it's gone.
Yep. Can't save it. And then even if we did know how to save, most people ain't even trained enough to know who to call, where to put the money, what type of medium or what type of vehicle to put it in to make it grow for you. And do a lot of people that really know about stock, even at your age? Do we really know
No,
stock?
no,
Do
no,
we
no,
really know
no.
trading?
A lot
Do
of
we
people that
really
I
know?
know don't.
Right. We don't know commodities. We don't know assets. We don't know anything. So we have uh, a lot of stuff to work with. But I want to try to get us on this next one here. I like that answer. You said you agree with both of those, that poor is a mental state tied to beliefs about wealth, and broke is a financial state tied to a lack of resources and capital. I too agree with both of those statements. And this is going to bring me to the next one. I want you to elaborate on these two, but I'm going to give you one at a time. Poor mindset is passed through generations, And a broke mindset is living in a state of fear that you will never have enough. You can take one.
Okay, well, I'll start with the broke. I start with the broke mindset. I,
Okay.
I think I think that's a little more complex
Okay.
because sometimes you have the money, or sometimes you can make bad investments, and
All right.
you just don't have it. Somebody's done taken something from you, but at least you have the knowledge to go back out there and make that money. You know what I'm saying? You kind of know
Right.
what you got to do to make money. So I consider I think broke is a temporary situation
Yeah.
based on the person,
Right. And
because
you don't think it has to do with a little bit of fear, maybe that you don't
it,
agree to
it,
that point.
well, I can understand it, but I don't
Yeah.
necessarily totally agree with it.
Okay.
You know, I just really think that when somebody's broke, sometimes it is that person's situation or their fault per se,
Right.
but a lot of times it could be what somebody has taken from them, swindled them out of, because I don't know. I'm not sure if you don't remember that. What was that guy's name? Madoff.
Uh-huh.
He took a lot of people's money.
Yeah. They
You
retire.
know, people who were smart, who were supposedly smart, and they said, "Well, wow, it sounded good to me, but how did I know he was taking my money?" And
Right.
here you are thinking that you had something that you didn't,
And he took it from.
and he took it from
Yes, sir. So not yeah, that could make you broke, and that could make you angry too. And that
you.
that in itself is a dangerous combination.
Right,
When you
make you
when you broke,
homicidal.
yeah, you broke and mad. Yes,
Right,
girl, watch out. Hey, you can be one of them, but not both.
not both. Right.
and, and if you could touch on the other one, on the poor mindset, that is tagged through generation.
It is.
Okay.
Just look at the fact that I'll use housing. To me,
Okay.
housing is a good one. Um,
Yes.
you got somebody that's been living in the hood, as you would say, call it, um,
Right.
grandmother, mother,
Uh-huh.
father, child, all three generations are all sitting right there, neighbors,
Right.
you know, and you would think that one generation say, look, I don't want this for my kids, you're trying to see what you can get from the government. The government's
Right.
never going to give you enough to survive. I mean, government will give you just enough to barely survive, but not enough to lift yourself up out of that situation.
Right.
Because most people who've come out of those situations realize I need to go to college and get my degree, or I just need to find a job that pays a little better than that $10 an hour or whatever the case may be.
Now, I'm glad you touched on housing because for Black men, there was a time like my dad touched on it before, uh, in the '60s, '70s, where they disenfranchised Black men. They were out of the home. You
Yes,
couldn't
yes,
go back
indeed.
to the home, or you would lose that assistance. They
Right.
took those training classes out of the high school, all the technical skills out of the high school, so you can graduate with something of a skill to get out there in the workforce. They took all that, and then
They
they
did.
wouldn't hire you. They wouldn't hire you for lack of training. You're not qualified enough. Well, you took all my opportunity to get qualified away. You give me a substandard education. You take all the skilled labor out of the high school. I can't afford college, and I can't even get back in my home because the ladies at that point had picked that assistance way instead of having a man in the house because it was just easier.
Right.
And pop goes the weave. The Black family sucks. The Black community starts to crumble. So, and that was before my time, but we still feeling the effects of that now.
Right. That was
Mhm.
during my time. I remember that. I remember
Yes, sir.
that. Especially in high school,
Uh-huh.
like in Cincinnati, they called it vocational training.
Right.
And in high school, in your the 11th and 12th grade years, you took 3 hours a day in a class. And when you graduated, you had a certificate. And usually they'll try to find you a job. You kind of go co-op for a couple of
Yeah.
weeks, 6 weeks or whatever it was. And I knew a guy, me and Tracy, we were just talking about this a few days ago. I knew a guy that who graduated with us. He went to Kroger's in 1979, and he's still with him today.
Wow. That's nice. That's nice. That takes some time to do. But and speaking of job training as well, since I've been living here in South Africa, and I wish one of the South African guys had joined us by now, so they can verify and validate what I'm saying, so I make sure I'm saying the right thing. But I've learned that the job situations over here are, if not worse than they are in the States for Black men.
Yeah.
Absolutely no job training, absolutely no skills training that's offered almost anywhere. You gotta find somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, and typically you gotta be of a certain pigmentation, I'll say, to get
Right.
to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And they got this thing over here where it's casual employees, where they work 7, 8, maybe 10 hours a day. They don't get a salary. They just work for tips. I said
Huh?
that would be illegal. No, not American. You don't have labor laws like that. If you want to work, you can work, but we're not going to pay your salary. You get tipped. It's crazy. It is crazy. And I heard the government over here, some officials were talking about a quote unquote minimum wage for workers that equated to about, I want to say, $2.50 an hour. And they were mad about that. They were upset that they may have to pay their employees $2.50 an hour, the equivalent of. I mean, they
Yeah,
were
because
upset.
because
You
if
know,
you're used to not paying somebody,
right?
and,
You
and
get
all
the
of a sudden
same
you
work,
have to.
and and we got Americans crying about $15 an hour to do anything, just show up. And we got people, they are working 10, sometimes 12-hour days just for tips.
Oh wow.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah. So it's for Black men, it's really hard. The pressure is always on you. You have to produce as a man. You have to get out and do something. You have to bring home the bacon, so to speak. What if there ain't no pigs out there? Where you gonna get your bacon from?
Right. That's right.
And it's just hard for us, and that can play on your emotions. That can play on your confidence. I mean, it can cause depression in men, and you know how we are when we get depressed. We sit off, get off somewhere by ourselves. We won't say nothing. People ask how we doing. Oh, I'm all right. I'm good. You know.
Right. Right.
And
Right. Right. Right.
we're gonna touch on that later on here in a little bit, but yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And when one of the guys jump on, we'll ones that here in South Africa, when they get on, we'll get some other thoughts about it. But it's pretty bad out here for the brothers. And we need to have these conversations so we can understand each other and be able to be a support system for one another.
Well,
But
what they don't want, they've they me growing up and hearing things, growing up about Africans, about blacks around the world, they want us not to communicate. They want us not to like each other, because
right,
once we start talking amongst ourselves and realizing, hey, this is what's going on over there, this is what's going on over here, that kind of thing, then we'll realize where the enemy really is.
oh, and you said the exact words that I say all the time. We spend so much time going at each other. The enemy just standing over there laughing at us.
Exactly.
Look at me. They don't even know. They don't even know what I'm about to do to them because they're too busy fighting, trying to. I don't want to say crabs in the barrel because ain't nobody higher than the other person. So ain't nobody
Right.
really pulling nobody down. We all in the same bucket.
That's
But
right.
it's nobody's trying to even crawl up at this point. They're all sitting there. So this is my opportunity or attempt really to bridge the gap between South African and Black American, the men at least, to get two sides of the story and put them together to show that we're not as distant as we think. We may be far in actual miles, but our issues and problems and concerns are pretty much the same.
It is.
It,
You're right.
it's, and it's so easy to start a conversation and, like you said, recognize whose side we are on, and then figure out who the true enemy is and where we need to stand to make a stand. And unfortunately, we got to have some men at the front that's got to bear the brunt of the blow that's coming, because they're gonna push back.
Oh
If
yeah.
if we got strong brothers at the front, we can take that and keep going forward. But that's now we got to talk about revolution. So we got we got to wait a second. Oh no, we can't do the revolution yet. We can't, not yet. We can't let that cat out the bag yet. So, but I want your thoughts on this one. I'm gonna say this statement and you give me your thoughts. Poor people avoid investing or learning about investing for fear of taking risks.
I didn't hear the last part.
Poor people avoid investing or learning about investing for fear of taking risks.
Yes. That happens a lot because, especially with poor people or people with that mindset, because they don't have much and they're scared of losing what little that they have.
Right.
And sometimes, a lot of times like whenever I read about people who are quote unquote very successful, you hear about the chances, the risks that they take.
Right.
Sometimes they go without for a week or for a month or whatever the case may be, to get to their end goal. They always say, well, God got me, and I've seen it's a common thread when you read about people who came from what they say nothing to be very successful. They're all risk takers in some way, shape, or form. It's different for everybody, but it's not. The bottom line is that it's all about taking a risk when that time has to happen.
Right. If we can use a sports analogy, if you stand at the plate, you're going to miss more than you hit.
Right.
Even some of the best baseball players in history only hit 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10.
Right.
And they were the best ever. So you're going to miss a whole lot. But if you just stand there and don't swing at nothing, you're going to miss everything.
That's right.
And poor people do have that mindset of, I'm going to pay my bills, and then I am to just sit on this, because again, they're used to living without. So either they'll spend it too fast and not have nothing to show for it, or they won't spend it at all and not have nothing to show for it. So
right.
It's I don't know. It's not win-win. I know that, but it doesn't have to be lose-lose. So there's got to be a way. And I think the way is, I'm going to bring this next one is, poor people will invest in formal education, i.e. college, but not in financial literacy.
Yes. Because they're basically going by what they know or what they think is the way out.
Right.
It may work for house number 3, but for house number 1, it might not work. So you might have to find another way to get out of your situation. So everybody's different. So it's not one way for everybody to pull themselves up by the straps, because everybody's different. Some people may take to a little financial literacy like it's, oh, okay, this is all I need to do. And then the next house be like, I I sat there for 2 hours and don't know what they're talking about. You know,
You're right.
you
Like you're
know,
speaking Latin.
right,
I don't know
right,
what you're talking. But then again, that goes back to this, the education from us, the seniors. I won't want to call it senior. I won't call myself senior yet. I do have a son, but I'm not a senior yet. I know there are older and far wiser men than myself. But at the same time, we owe it to our communities, to our sons, to first we got to gather some knowledge and then pass that on. And sometimes they don't want to listen to someone that hasn't shown the result of what this financial literacy can do for you. Why am I listening to you? You ain't rich. You ain't got nothing either. Why I'm listening to you? Well, you're younger than me, so I'm gonna give you what I know. Then you
right,
should be able to take that with the extra time given and capitalize them. But of course, with us, if they don't see you got it, then they don't want nothing from you. But then the moment they see you got it, they want something for free. Like, no,
right,
we're not doing it.
and that is what I would like me and my daughter, because I just have a daughter, and
Right.
she would listen to everybody in the world, and then one day I like I would talk to her and say, look, Ashley, if you need this, bring me what you have and we'll sit down and we'll go over it. But when she was in her 20s, she was being secretive. She thought I was wanting to know her business. That most young people go through a phase where they're like
Right.
that,
Mhm.
And so I told her, I said, look, there's no secrets between me and you. I'm just trying to help you. But in order for me to help you, you have to give me what I require to show, because I need to be able to show you what I'm saying.
Right.
And it took her 10 years, to be honest with you. To she came back at me, later on and said, Dad, you know, um, now I see. I said, yeah,
Mhm.
I understand. Because when I was up until I was about 35, 36, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I knew
Mhm.
that if I took $10 out of my bank account, I better put that back in there because I'm gonna bounce a check.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know,
That's the check.
yeah.
Yep.
And so you learn that over time, and after a while, the light comes on, and you're like, oh, I don't have to live like that no more. Yeah, I need to stop going to these places where I'm paying 15% for a car. You know,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
You know,
And
um,
and I think one of my proudest moments was when from my past relationship, I got back in touch, or one of the kids that I was raising way back reached back out to me and was like, I appreciate the things that you did. He was about 25, 24, something like that. And I hadn't talked to him in a number of years, but he reached back out and was like, yeah, you know what? You actually did more for me than my actual dad did. I appreciate it. But this was, like I said, 10 some years later. And I was like, I was just trying to do my best. But their mindset, like you said, was kind of rebellious. And you trying to control me, stop telling me what to do with my life, blah, 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 blah. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm
right,
just trying to give what I didn't get so you will have what I didn't have.
right, right,
And it took time, but it stuck with them. And then they reached back out, said, you know what, I appreciate that. So that was one of my proudest moments of getting that call that one time. And it may happen again soon. Like even with the boys that's living with me now, they don't understand what I'm doing. They just think I'm a hard ass. As the market
right,
always means, trying to toughen you up. Because when life hits you, don't knock the
right. And
crap
it's
out of
going to
you.
hit you.
Oh yeah,
It's
don't
going to
knock the
hit
crap
you.
out. That's
Because
right.
I remember a speech I had not too long ago when I was telling certain young men about pay attention to what's going on. Stop thinking that everything's about fun.
Right.
I say you will have time for fun, but you gotta get something started, and the fun and the women and all that will come. But
Right.
what you got to do right now is establish yourself somehow or some way. Because first of
Right.
all, if you don't have nothing, ain't a woman gonna want you anyway. You know,
That you're gonna be stuck.
right? You walking around wondering why you can't do this or why you can't do that.
Yes, sir.
Just look in the mirror.
Mhm.
That's all you
And
got
they
to
scared
do.
of that. They're scared of that reflection.
Right.
And I wanted to touch on the South African portion of this too. It's because these are deeply religious people, right? They are deeply religious. They're real spiritual, and when they get the opportunity to work, show out. You know, they lack opportunity over here. They actually lack the opportunities to do what they know they can. I mean, when they go, we've only been here 2 months. I mean, almost 3 months now. And we drive past this little square almost every day that they were building, let's say like a Home Depot. I mean, this building's going up, and it's all black workers. I mean, and this thing is coming together quick, fast, in a hurry. Like they're ready to put the insides. And we only did it. I'm like, this would have took 2 years in the States to build with
Uh-huh.
contracts and all that stuff. They were doing it in months. And it's the summer months too. So they was out there in the heat, like the South African heat. And it ain't nothing like if you ain't been hot before. Let me tell you, the South African heat ain't nothing to play with. This sunny South Africa, the sun is reaching out and touching you. Like
Screaming at
physically.
you.
Oh, and they are out there, and these brothers is out there working hard, hard for the bare minimum. I mean, for the absolute minimum. But they got to do it because they don't have any other opportunity. And it's scary to think how hard some of these guys work, how little they get in return. I mean, it's sad. But like I said, maybe one of the brothers will jump on here and give us their opinion about it as well. And I appreciate everything you're doing so far. And I want to ask you one more before the show takes a turn because we got to get a little deeper. Now this is just surface stuff we're dealing with right here.
Right.
So we're gonna get a little deeper. But I'm actually this last one about poor people. Then we're gonna get off of them. All right, a poor person has a self-image of poverty. A poor person has a self-image of poverty. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Well, when you say self-image um, of poverty,
Hmm?
I would take that to think or say rather that that's environmental.
Right. Yeah.
You know, people when you see what's around you and you have nobody to look at and say, wow, I could be like this person, I could be like that person, and you see that this is all that I will ever amount to, um, then it becomes mental as well a little bit, because somebody has to break the cycle.
Right.
And
Okay.
and because they don't break the cycle, it like earlier we talked about generational, how that kind of keeps going on in families.
I think more so to add to that, because you're absolutely right about the mental piece. But I think, and this is where I put the ball in the court of black men. I think we just sat around and too long and allowed that separation of us from the home to impact us in a way to where we're like, well, they're not going to listen to me anyway, so they just don't do anything. But when you said the image of this is what I see, like they don't have that image of I want to be like that. They kind of do, but it's false because it's a rapper, it's an entertainer, it's a basketball player, an athlete, or the neighborhood somebody guy and they just want to be the next neighborhood somebody guy, because that's all they do see.
Yeah,
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
and without us to break that, because we're the ones that need to break the cycle. The ladies have done the best they could. They tried. And but all these sons that are being raised without father, they're not gonna make it.
Right,
Because they don't know how to make it. You
right,
can't you as a man, you can't function emotionally. But if all you've ever dealt with was women, it's mom at the house, your sister at the house, all your school teachers are women. And so the first 18 years of your life, you're coming up, and all you're doing is listening to what women tell you to do. And then turn 18, it's time for you to get out there and be a man. You act like what you've seen your whole life, or you behave like that, and it's not. There's no logic behind that. There's no thinking. It's all raw emotion. That's why the term they use nowadays called crashing out. All that is just uncontrolled emotion, or you have no logic behind your thinking, but you was never taught that. And
right,
women, they can't teach men that.
right. Because the only thing women they're nurturers by
Right.
nature, and and you're right. You're definitely right about that because when boys or young men typically grow up, their mothers put their arms around them. They try to make sure
Mhm.
they don't fall, they don't hurt themselves, all those
Mhm.
types of things. And then after a while, they say, "He ain't listening." You know, and it's like, well, you have people that tried to help when they were coming up. In some cases, I can't say all cases. In some
Right.
cases, but you pushed them away.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
And then,
I've seen it from that perspective too.
well, I've dealt with it in marriage and other relationships before too. You know, come in and see these boys need some discipline, so you try to instill some discipline in the household, and the mom is just bucking back at you all the time, like, "Oh, you doing too much.
Right,
Don't do." I'm like, "Hey, this is what I do. If we can't make this work, then it's not, because I can't date you or be with you and not show my love for them.
right,
But my love for them ain't gonna be like your love for them. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be rough. We're gonna
right,
wrestle. We're gonna play fight. I'm gonna talk stern to them. I'm firm, but I'm fair. It's not gonna sound like a lot of hugs and kisses and crying and all that. No,
right,
that ain't how this
right.
works.
That's right.
Because when you get up, you ain't gonna be able to hug and kiss and cry your way out of a situation when you're a man. So
Right.
why would I do?
That's
I'm gonna do that all the time with you as a boy. So
that's
that's
right.
where I think we need to step up to the plate, stop allowing the governmental situation to dictate what we do in our own household. And we just stand by the wayside and just let our ladies keep leading from the front. It's not working. And it ain't worked since '78. So, at least let's try something different. You know, try something different. So that was the easy part of the show. That was the easy question.
Okay.
That was the easy question. We're gonna turn it more so now into actually talking about the mindset. And for everybody that don't know, or you're just now jumping in and you're getting there kind of late, we're going over what the mindset of a broke person is and a poor person is. And the topic, in the headline I used was "As a Man Thinks." So we're now going to get into the "As a Man Thinks" part. There's biblical scripture and all that, and there are good teachings behind it. But I'm not a pastor, Rob. I don't think you're a pastor of any
No.
kind, but the scripture is there. And maybe if the bishop at my church he usually attends, but he had emergency meetings that he may jump in. Um, but he's really good at breaking down scripture in a way that everybody can understand it. But we're not going to put that hat on, and I'm not going to ask you to put that hat on. So this is totally from your life experience and what you think with these questions. So no
Right.
answer is wrong, and we're just gonna elaborate on these thoughts, and give ourselves a little time to answer each question. I'll answer them as well, so we have a little bit more back and forth dialogue since we one-on-one here. Again, and I appreciate you for joining the show and giving me the time and the support. If you're watching and listening in and you want to chime in at any time, take a few minutes, bring yourself to the stage, let me hear your thoughts, or put some down in the chat. And me and Rob will answer that if you need to. I see we have a couple participants, but they're not turning on their cameras, so they don't want to be on stage. So I do thank everybody for joining the show, even though, you don't have to participate 100%, but I still thank you for giving us the time and listening in. Okay, Mr. Rock, we going to the deep end now. We're getting to the 12 feet, going off the diving board, going in. You're a Navy man, so you know what I mean.
Right.
Define what a broke person.
Define what?
What a broke person is. Some of that is broke. And we've already touched on it, but
well, okay, like a Webster's dictionary version is somebody that doesn't have funds right now.
Right.
You know.
Yes, sir.
And I think a broke person is somebody that's knowledgeable, that has the know-how, the savviness to work around, to be not broke in a very short period of time. But sometimes it's bad luck, or sometimes it's risky investments, it's risk taking, whatever. But I think a broke person will always land on their feet if they just follow their knowledge. Because I just always, like I said earlier, I think being broke is a temporary problem.
Yes, sir.
It's not a generational thing. It's a temporary fallback, or whatever you want to call it.
I do too. I think it's just a financial situation where you have income, like you have your job, let's say regular 9-to-5 type job, or you're at the beginning stages of a career where you just made out an intern, or you haven't made mid-level management yet, or whatever, and you have just enough to get by, but not enough to thrive. You're surviving. And if given the opportunity, like you said, you have a skill set to where you can make something happen with it. Like, hey, if you work hard enough, you get this bonus, you can put that bonus away and you can do something with it. After a couple of years, you get a couple, 2, 3 of them tax returns. Okay, now I got something, let me make a move.
Yes.
Once given the opportunity, you can change it. But most broke people, those opportunities come very few and far in between, and most people don't recognize them when they do hit, because they grind in the act so hard, you don't even see the opportunity when it knocks. So they always working. So, but you're absolutely right. If given the opportunity, they had resources, or they had capital, they had funding, they can make something happen with it because they have the mentality to do so. But they're not poor by any means, but they don't have enough resources, and that causes them to be broke. And for South Africa, it's a lot of people that are just broke. They're not poor. They're deeply spiritual. They're proud. They have the know-how. They just don't have the opportunity.
Right.
And it's a lot of it. Once they do get the opportunity, they do show up and they do show out. I mean, the one thing I noticed over here in the service industry, the men dominate service industry. They're the nicest men, the most kindest people you'll ever talk to. And it's the ladies that got to pad up to, I'm like, wow, man, that's great. But the brothers is over here, man, they treat you like royalty, wherever. They don't even care if it's a food court in the middle of the mall. They treat you like royalty wherever you go. It's awesome. Customer service in the state, it's up.
Right.
It's up.
It's terrible.
But over
terrible.
Here, I think you got on a crown everywhere you go. These brothers show up and they treat you like they are your family wherever you go. The nicest kind of people that you'll ever meet over. I think when you get here, I mean, you probably did North Africa in the Navy, right?
Yes, no, I really never did a tour, but I've been to Nigeria, I've been to
Okay.
Djibouti, um,
Okay.
and and I've been to Somalia.
Ah,
Yeah,
fun place.
yes, hot places too.
Yeah. Ah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'll tell you, Africa heat is different. It's different. When we got here, it's been blazing hot. But we left in the wintertime. We got here in their summertime. Mm, the first couple of weeks, it was rough. It was rough. We was over there cooking. We was over there cooking. Kids are just like, oh, it's so hot. Get up, go outside. Get outside. But okay. Okay. Now, here's where we make a turn. What defines a broken person? BRKEN person. Broken.
Well, what I define as a broken person
Yes, sir.
would be somebody that's given up,
Oh, yes, sir.
somebody that's had a streak of, maybe some streak of some bad luck, and
Mhm.
maybe decide that I'm giving up. I want to become a poor person. you know, um,
Yeah.
I
I,
I
I,
just I just think when a person is broken, that's where they really need somebody in their ear to help motivate and help push them back up or set them back up for success. Because once they become broken, it's hard to get out of that mindset from
yes, sir.
my experiences, from what I've seen of people who traveled that route, that route.
And we both got military background. So we're both
Yes,
retired military. So we've seen the worst of the worst stuff. Because when a man is truly broken, two things about it. He's not going to admit it. Because
right,
who wants to admit that they're broken? I'm all right. I'm good. Everything all right, so yeah, I'm good, Lord, I'm good. We get that all the time. And then what you just stated on, you need somebody in your ear. As men, when do we ever get that?
right,
How many of us really have a person that we can depend on, like that's not going to judge you or call you a punk, sissy, you
right.
weak, this or that? You know, who who do you have the opportunity with to be vulnerable? When and where? Even in our marriage, can you 100% say yes that you can be vulnerable around your wife?
Because I know we're not built that way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to break that mold. You know, I would say because um, we all have to grow. At my age, I still feel like I need to grow. There's some things that I can do better.
And I'm glad you can admit that. Most people won't say that. Even at my age, I realized I got some growing to do. You know
Hmm.
how hard that is for people to say out loud? And you
Oh
say
yeah,
it
for
just as
sure.
easy because you understand. But it's a lot of our brothers that just this a platform like this where you can sit back, we can go back and forth, we can talk about things and not be judged. Brothers won't participate. Look, it's me and you. Man,
Right,
I've,
right.
I've sent out I've sent out hundreds of notifications for this. There's two people here. But I know it's thousands, if not millions of brothers that need to hear and talk about the things we're talking about. Because if they are broken, which one of them gonna be honest enough to say I need some help? And then if they are brave enough to do it, who's coming to help? No, we're not there for each other like we need to be. We don't have each other's back like we should. The Webster Dictionary um, the definition is a man who, I said a man, a person suffers a trauma so severe that it would change how they live and think. That's a broken person.
Yes.
And we don't even we're too proud to even say what that trauma was. And we're so proud, we're so ashamed of it that pride just makes you suffer in silence.
Mm-hmm.
We won't come out of that shell. That mold says we need to break, and never broke because we're too afraid. We're too ashamed. We got all this guilt. Something happened to us. We scared to tell on who did it. It might
Right.
be your mom, it might be your dad, it might be your uncle. You don't want to tell on them, but then you don't want to appear weak because you're sitting here snitching on somebody and telling on somebody what they did to you. We're not emotionally intelligent out there. I hate using that word, emotional intelligence, but I think, it fits for this. We're not emotionally intelligent enough to know when to say when. I can't do this on my own. I need help. Rob, I need your help. That's hard for
Right.
me
Right.
to do. And until we can control our emotions, deal with our shame, deal with our guilt, and actually put it out on the table, acknowledge that something is the matter, then we can get the kind of help we need.
Right.
And
Because that's the only way you're going to grow, because something has to change. You don't know how, you don't know going in it how it's going to change or how to change it. You just have to sometimes, as they say, throw a Hail Mary out there and see what happens.
over prayer.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think the overall end result is you need a spiritual background. You need some spiritual covering. But again, that comes with the mindset of I have to do the internal work, and then I have to make it prioritize to go and seek the information and the knowledge and the help that I need. Like you said before, you got to go and get it. Not going to come to you. And once I go looking, where are the men that can help? Like at your age, I know you have buddies, you got friends, but who mentors you now at your age?
To be honest with you, I mean, that's a very good question. I don't, like when I have questions, sometimes there are a couple people I do go to, but it's not often. It's not like a regular thing that I do. It gotta be something really what I consider drastic.
Right.
Then I say, hey, what do you think about this? Yeah,
Okay.
you can call that mentoring a little bit, but it's not really mentoring. It's just really getting somebody's opinion. You know.
And this growth that you said you need, and I do too. If there are no true mentors for you, how do you get it? Where do you go to get that knowledge that you need to continue to grow, as you say?
Well,
And
because
before you answer, if there are young people watching, younger men, listen to his answer closely, because you're going to get this age one day. And if you haven't laid the foundation and the groundwork for this, it's going to be more difficult for you to answer this question as well. But I think Rob has a good answer for us. So go ahead. So I just want to put that out there.
yeah, well, because there are so many things you have to look at when
Mhm.
you approach somebody for guidance.
Right.
First of all, somebody's life experience, just because somebody's life experience may or may not be beneficial to helping you, and I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that, but somebody's upbringing, everybody's, people have different values,
Right.
and so you have to take what people say, I feel, and not saying that you have to listen to what the person says totally, but you asking a question so you know what you're looking for in
Right.
a response.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm lucky enough to still have my father here, and I do talk to him a lot, you know. But he came up in a different time. But
Right.
that's not to say he's not knowledgeable, because he's very knowledgeable. But um, sometimes, you know, like we talk, and it's just a different world.
Right.
The world that he's seen is not here no more, per se.
Right.
And
And
that
the information may not be applicable to
what
what you need to do right now.
well, it is applicable if you're savvy enough to take what is stated, and you can play with some of what was said, and you can apply it. But that just means that you have to think on your own a little bit.
Mhm. And if you're in a broken state, that thinking that you have to do, it just doesn't get to where it needs to get to, because your mindset, you know, maybe you're depressed, you're sulking, you're having this pity party, and you want, you know, you want all this attention or something like that. You want to cry out for help, but you don't even know how to. And broken mindsets don't allow you to cry, you know,
Right.
because you never get over that hump. You have to repair, and that repair work starts in here. Like, I don't know, for a lot of people that have suffered a traumatic experience, I'll say, they exist. They they don't evolve past that point. The traumatic experience holds them there. It has such a hold on you. That's where it always is. And if it happened to you when you was 10 or 15, that's where you are. Even if you're 40, you're still this 15-year-old, because that's an unresolved traumatic experience that you ain't did no work on. And every reaction or every situation, you revert back to this 15-year-old boy, because
Right.
that's where you exist in your mind. It's just a broken street, a broken one-way street. And until you pave that, until you fix that, you can't get past that point. You can't evolve past that point. And that will bring up to my next one is because you are broken, emotionally broken. Is an emotionally broken man dangerous?
They can be.
They can be. How so?
Well, again, it depends on that person's makeup. You know, everybody's different. You know, what like four people can hear the same thing, and they're gonna take it four different ways.
Okay.
And
It looks like we got another visitor here, so keep going, Rob. Well, drop down. Well, I hope they be back in a second. But I keep going. I'm sorry.
yeah, but I'm just saying, a person can be dangerous, but you know, it just depends on it, a lot of it situationally, because
Okay.
you got some people that can be broken and hard, and they won't do nothing to nobody, or
Right.
they won't do nothing to, you know, they'll just sit there in the cut and deal with it on their own, or swallow in it or whatever. And then you got some people that, you know, you say, oh, you better watch him.
Right. Crash out.
Yeah.
Well, we
So
call
it
hot heads back in the day.
yeah, so it just, to me, it depends on the person.
Okay.
Um, because everybody handles things differently, and nobody's going to handle the same thing in the same manner. Not
So
unless
so
you
I
got a gun or something, you know, gun or something, or somebody.
well,
That's a different
I was
story.
just about to say, I was gonna throw a curveball at you. Like, I tend to think that an emotionally broken person is more dangerous to himself first than to others, because the not the ability, they always have the ability. The mindset of a broken person, especially somebody that's emotionally broken, you just don't get up and do it. You ain't gonna accomplish nothing anyway. So if you wanted to do something to somebody, it's just like that, and you don't do it. You don't finish any task. You don't complete any missions. You just sitting, like you said, they sit off to themselves. Now, the complete opposite end of that spectrum is the hothead that you can step on their shoe, and then they ready to shoot up the block. Because, man, I kill everybody up in this block.
Right,
Those
right.
type of cats. Like, dude, sit down. You ain't about to do nothing. But they just so loud and so ignorant and so belligerent because they have no emotional control whatsoever. It's exploded every little thing. But I do think the broken person more often than not would just be the cat that's more harmful to himself. Sit in the cut, contemplating, boom, 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 taking themselves out, or just sulking, not eating, not taking care of their body, and just being existing, just existing, and not really doing nothing. That's what I tend to think. Do you agree with that, or
Yeah, no,
more
I
often?
do. I do agree with that.
In the military, I've seen it a lot where soldiers that get out, you have to go. They have, we do a health and welfare check on them. Then you got to
Right.
go to their barracks room, or you got to go to their housing and see how their living conditions are, and check on them, and make sure they eat and stuff like that. Every once in a while. But the military has tendencies for that. We were kind of forced to interact with each other. But what I've noticed on the civilian side is not that. It's not that way. You agree with that as well?
Oh, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And
Most of my friends are military friends. I have a lot of civilian friends. If I have any civilian friends at all, most of my friends, if not all of my people that I call friends, are military.
yes, same here. I like you said, it's just something about the camaraderie that because I remember when I first retired, I would always say somebody that something's wrong with those people, but it was really me. I was the one that was different. It wasn't them, it was me.
Right.
Took me a while to recognize that.
Yeah. And I'm still in that recognition stage that I can't handle the way that civilians deal with each other. It's too catty, too messy. Be straight up with me. If get to the point, let's get it fixed. Whatever it is, we can work it out and move on. I ain't got time to be dealing with grudges and just too much.
Right.
Too much energy
Right.
on bull crap. And then there's so many emotionally broken people out there that just don't ask for help.
It's scary.
The black community is suffering. It's suffering because a lot of our sons are just overly emotional, crashing out, depressed, drug related, all this other stuff, the gangs. People are still in gangs. You realize that? People are
Yeah.
still in gangs. Like, I thought that was done with. I thought that was over. They still
No.
run here claiming set. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have no property on the street. But you're claiming this poverty. This is what I'm gonna kill somebody else and stay in poverty. I want to sell drugs to the brokest people and claim that. That's what I do, really. But anyway, I'm sorry. That's a whole different thing. That's more of the upbringing show that we talk about. How that impacts the growth, development of a person, your upbringing, your surroundings, things like that. But okay, we know an emotionally broken man is dangerous to himself. Is a poor man dangerous?
Is a what man?
Is a poor man dangerous?
Same thing. I think they can be. If they see that you got something that they want.
They ain't got nothing to lose, right?
Right.
I can see how that could be dangerous, but then again, how do you get so many phone calls? Um, but then again, I can see that they like you said before, they just giving up. And I am content with being poor. And I don't care what anybody else do around me. I think the danger again is to himself because he'll just stay stuck. This is where I'm cool right here. I'm broke or poor. And I don't have any ambition to do it better.
Right.
And there's nobody around to tell me any different because everybody I see doing the same thing. That hood mentality.
Right. Right.
That's what we do in the hood. We just all sit around and be poor together. And somebody gets something, next man take it from 'em.
And have a bunch of fun.
Yeah. I ain't never seen so many Cadillacs in the hood.
Right,
Some of the nicest cars on 25-inch rims and all this music and all this stuff. And you got roaches in your house.
right, right,
I don't, I,
right,
I don't understand it. I'd rather sleep in the car.
right.
How many people houses you've been over you can't take off your shoes, when you go in the house because they're gonna get full of bugs,
Right.
and we're content with that.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
so. And more personal question here coming these last couple. Since it's only us two, we moved through them kind of quick. We didn't have a lot of back and forth. Well, we had some, but usually the shows take like 2 hours. But in a one-on-one, it may be a little quicker. So I'll give you a little bit more time on this. Are poverty and poor the same?
Well, I would say no.
Okay.
I would say because you can remove yourself from poverty
Mhm.
and better yourself. It's all about your mind. It's all about your mindset.
Okay. Mindset. It does luck and opportunity have anything to do with that though?
That can play into it.
Um,
But I think most of the time it's the guttiness of the person that want to go out and do or achieve or get or just don't want to be in that situation.
Okay.
You know,
And and if you're listening in right now, and you want to chat your response. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this. You can put this in the chat. Put your response to this question: are poverty and poor same? Put your answer in the chat if you're listening in right now. We'll touch on it if you have time to do so. If you're listening out there. Um,
I got to go over and grab my cord. I'll be right back.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I myself, while Robert grabs that, I myself think poverty and poor are not exactly the same. I think they're similar, but it is different. I think you're mostly born into poverty. And I know poor is a mindset passed down generationally, but I think poverty is something that you're born into regardless of the mindset. You know, you can have all the ambition in the world, but you're just born in a situation, into an environment, and have the type of upbringing where you never get to put those skills and knowledge that you have to the test. And so I think that's what poverty is, more so you're born into poverty. And then, if there are a series of unfortunate events, you can fall into poverty. But again, I just think you'll be more so broke because you have the skill set change. But if you're poor, I think that's just something that passed down mentally, and not so much uh, your situation. You can change it. You just that's in you from birth. Just being poor, that's in you from birth. Whereas poverty, you can be in it from birth, but like Rob said, you can change it with a little luck, a little opportunity. Spiritual people would say it's prayer, it's God. Uh, you can call it whatever it is, but whatever helps you get out of that situation, that is one of the things that's key about the difference between, for me, poverty and is that opportunity or that luck that happens and pulls you out of the situation. Whereas the poor mentality, you have it, you just poor in the mind. You back with us, Rob?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay. Okay. All right. So poverty and poor the same. If you're listening in the chat, put your answer in the chat so we can touch on it if we have a little time. Rob, you've done well so far. You've done well. But you know, I got one more for you. I got one big one for
Okay.
you. Is the Black community broke, poor, or broken? One of the three. I'll make it tough on you. Give me one of the three.
Yeah, no, well, because I first of all, I don't want to speak for the whole black community. You know
But
what I'm
just,
saying?
it's just, it just, it's just
But
your thought.
in
Yeah, in
general,
general.
I,
Uh-huh.
I I'd say based on the system that's in play for us,
Okay.
I'd say that we're broken because
Broke. Okay.
we've
Good pick.
been beat down. You know, just so many negative things have happened to us as a whole
Mhm.
because you do have some that you know slide through the cracks and they become successful, whatever.
Right.
But for the most part, the systems are designed to keep the knee on our neck
Mm.
to where we can't be, you know, like the playing fields are not level.
Right.
And so if you just look at it, if you go back, you know, hundreds of years, a couple hundred years, I'm just talking about the United States. But then when you look
Right.
around the world, a lot of the same things are happening,
Yes.
you know.
Just like over here for the people that live in South Africa, of course, you know, they understand about breaking away from apartheid in the 90s, where they still up until like 90, 91, they couldn't, I mean, apartheid was set, they couldn't own anything.
Right,
And if you can imagine the mindset or the mentality that you have when you're born into a system, like you said, that just won't allow you to do or be anything. You can't do anything.
right.
And they just got out of that situation in the 90s. So there's still people alive that experience a whole bunch of people alive that experience apartheid and have they're still angry, furious. And I wish there was a couple people on that could speak to it, but um you pick broken. I think that's a good choice. Can you elaborate on a little more about the Black community and your thoughts being broken?
Well, it's just because of the systems in place. You
Right.
know, they constantly, you know, just like my dad used to always say, you know, like because he had a job as a plant manager here in Cincinnati, and um
Hmm.
and he said he never worried about people of a certain hue because
Hmm.
they will always make them a manager. They could have no experience in nothing, but they would make them a manager. They just
Right.
give them a job, you know. Whereas we have to have degrees and this and that for that same job.
Right. And no.
So it's just the system is the way the systems are set up. It's set up for
Right.
them to succeed and for us
Mhm.
not to.
Okay. I like that answer. And again, I open up to the chat. If you're listening, put your response in the chat, and we can touch on it if you think. Because the question is the Black community broke, poor, or broken? And as you think about those answers, whether that's an American community or a South African community, where you live, look at your environment, look at your surroundings, look at your upbringing, and tell me if it's broken, poor, or broke. And I'll touch on this. Like I said, 2023, the Black community itself, $1.2 trillion into the US economy. That don't look like a broke community. Misguided, maybe, poor spending habits, and even worse, spending habits or saving habits with little to no financial literacy. Yes, but there's wealth there. There's wealth potential. 1.2 trillion. Yeah. 41 million Black people, 1.2 trillion. A lot of money passing through fingers. So I don't think we're broke. Uh, Poor mentality. Yeah, we're getting educated. We're getting some financial literacy. We're doing some investment. So the poor mindset is being erased. You know, a lot of people are trying to lift them up, to lift themselves up by the bootstraps, so to speak, but they still lack institutions, black owned businesses and banks and things of that nature, where we can separate ourselves and have our own. So that mentality is starting to come around. So we're less poor mentally. We're not broke at all. We got money. We just don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to live with money. And then there's nobody that teaches how to live. So the only by process of elimination for me is that we're just broke. And we took one too many whips, one too many lynchings, one too many churches being bombed, schools being shot up, and we've become so immune to it. Now we just expect bad things to happen to it. Police car get behind you when you're driving, you automatically start getting anxious because you know something about to happen. And it's the mindset now is just we expect the worst all the time. Even so, I mean, if you've ever sat and read some comments on a social media platform, the comments are just so negative. Like, where is the good in people? And I think as Black people, we are content with being at the bottom, always being stepped on, always being overlooked, always having the least amount. And as Black men, we're the worst of the worst. And we just have no ambition to be better. We just content, as in general, we're just content to be where we are at the bottom. And that's just where we'll stay. You agree or not with that? I don't.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with your statement. I was just I didn't know if you were finished talking, but
Yeah, I'm
um
sorry. I did go a little long.
yeah, but no, it's I totally agree with what you said. You know, it like you said with the amount of money that we made as a race of people,
Mhm.
and you wouldn't know that
Right.
if you didn't know the facts, what you wherever you got those facts from, you wouldn't know that we made that much money that year. You know,
Mhm.
because just look around and you know what you see.
Right. You would think we were the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
The Black community is the 16th largest economy in the world. 1.2. That's a lot.
That is.
We
That's a
got,
lot of money.
and our net worth is negative. Got negative net worth. Black people. Um, can we be saved?
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. But it's just going to take changes in outlook, changes in attitudes, um, seeking knowledge where you can, listening to somebody that's been there. And just because somebody's 70, yeah, the 70-year-old person is going to have a lot of knowledge, but a
Mhm.
30-year-old person can have a lot of knowledge too,
Yes.
based on their life experience up to that point. So you got to take the knowledge from wherever you can get it, and
Yes, sir.
be and be able to take advice from or take knowledge from somebody that maybe has not been on the earth as long as you have, but
Right.
their experiences are different.
And I agree wholeheartedly with that because we have, I likened it to a knights of the round table, so to speak, where nobody's really the head, but we can all sit, talk amongst each other. This platform, like a lot of other ones, where everybody can have an equal voice and not be called out for anything, because your thoughts are your thoughts.
Right.
And if you need more knowledge, the brothers on the platform. I'm sorry. Oh, it's been a long day. The brothers on the platform can always be there to help, to push you, and to help you understand where you may lack understanding. Or you may be, but like you said, there may be a 22-year-old that's real sharp and can give you something you haven't heard, even at my age or at your age. You're like, yeah, that's making sense. We can learn from each other and learn to be there for each other. That's the only way we can be saved, though, I think, is if us as men pull together and fight the common enemy and to save the common goal, and that's to uplift the Black community. Unless we got one goal, one fight, one purpose, one reason, it's just to uplift our community. We do it together. I see that's the only way. You know, I think integration really killed the Black community. I know I might get flack for that,
No,
but
I kind of agree
uh-huh.
with that because we had our own stuff
Yes,
before that happened,
yes,
and then when it did happen, we
hmm,
stopped going to our businesses. We started going to theirs.
yeah, and that bewilders. Like I myself, I wouldn't want to go eat somewhere where they told me not to go eat.
Exactly,
I can't see you
exactly.
cooking my food back there. I don't know what you're doing. I ain't gonna go eat there. You don't want me there, and I don't want to eat it. Like certain people put raisins in they potato salad. I'm not, you know,
No, you're right.
I'm
You're
not.
right.
I'm not going. I'm not going somewhere where I'm not wanted. So integration forced us, not forced. Integration took away the the drive or the ambition to have your own. If you remember in the Great Depression, white folks' money was gone. They lost it all. But Black folks had money. Why? Because we couldn't be involved in the white folks' bank.
Exactly.
So we had money. Black Wall Street was thriving, and regular Wall Street was crashing. What they do? Burn it to the ground. You know,
Right.
we're not going to let you. We won't be living poor, and you have more than us. No, we'll burn it down. And that's happened so many times.
Over and over, and
And then we get
nothing has happened to them for doing those things.
nope. But they got the gold and they make the rules.
Right.
And just like you said, that broken mentality is set in, but we just come numb to it. If I build something, they're gonna tear it down. So why even build something? If I get ahead, they're just gonna move the finish line. So why even try to get ahead?
Right.
If I build something up, they're gonna tear it down. If I get too high, they're gonna get back. If I get too close, they're gonna move away. And it's just stuck. If the situation is just stuck. So we're that broken mentality that we keep going back to is and like an infectious disease. But we are our only cure because there's no help coming from outside. We have to heal ourselves, and we need more platforms like this for men and have them participate where they can say things like, "I need help. I'm hurt. I need help."
Right.
And then there's competent brothers out there saying, "Okay, I got you. Come on, give me your hand, brother. I got you. Give me a hug, man. I'm with you."
Right.
And not be looked at, "Oh man, that's sassy. Y'all sissies. That's this, that's that. You weak, man. What you crying about? You ain't hurting that bad. Come on, man." Blah 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 blah. And the pressure is so great. I know to produce in America, you know, check to check is good. Living check to check, you make it. But some
Hmm.
people ain't even that. But then you got the ones that aren't making it. They just, what's the alternative? Live in this system that's gonna constantly hold me down? You think they'll ever make us equal? Think they're ever gonna make us equal?
I won't see it in my lifetime.
And that's sad, because I won't either. That's sad, right? We're
Right.
20, almost what? We're what, 10, 15 years apart, almost 20 years apart?
Yeah.
And you won't see it, nor will I. And I don't even, the way you're heading, I don't think my son will, because it's just getting worse by the day. And if we don't stand together right now, like it's kind of disheartening that we had to have this conversation by ourselves. You know, there's brothers out there that need this word, and some are just, I can't say everybody's busy because, like I said, it's 9:30 over here. I know for a fact most of South Africa, the shops and everything are closed.
Right.
These brothers had the opportunity to listen, put in, gain some knowledge. And it's just disheartening to see that the more people don't want to or have the time to participate. I know there are a couple people that say they're at work, yeah, but not everybody's at work. Not everybody's too busy. So if you don't take the time to get the knowledge, where you gonna get it? Google. We don't control
Right.
what they, we don't
Right.
control what they
Right.
put on the internet. They do. So just give me your thoughts of the overall status of what you would like to see us in the Black community do for each as men now, just the men, because the ladies they got their own set of problems. So we're over here with dude stuff. So what do you think, or what would you like to see us do as men that could better the community moving forward?
Well, I would just, to me, the biggest thing is when you see somebody doing something wrong,
Mhm.
fix it. Say
Fix
something. Say something
Mhm.
when you can. And don't say, well, I'm not getting involved. I don't want to be involved with that. You just don't know. But say
Right.
something to somebody, because sometimes young people, I want just people in general, they're looking for
Mhm.
somebody to say something to them,
Right.
you know. And but if we could get consistent on that, and just like you said earlier, like if I'm having a problem, and maybe I give you a call and say, hey, look, I'm dealing with this or whatever, and I may even get a little vulnerable, like, well, this happened. I might get a little too personal, but be able to say to myself, well, I can say it to him because I don't have to worry about that getting out somewhere.
Right. There's no anxiety. There's no fear
Right. Because the
holding
biggest
you back.
problem, yeah, because the biggest problem people have is that they're worried that, well, if I say this to so and so, then everybody's gonna know
Right.
my weakness or what's going on. So to be able to have trust and faith in my fellow man,
Right.
you
Right.
know. And I'm not saying, I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of brothers out there who can be relied upon right now in that manner, but there are
Right.
a lot of them who aren't.
Oh, cool. Hey, yeah. I work with and I thank you for that answer. And you're that that those kinds of interactions, men just don't know how valuable that is. You see something, you say something. And as an elder, there should be a respect level for you to where when you do say something, it's adhered to, it's listened to. Look, man, come on in the house, man, get off that corner.
Right.
And then they go in there and rap to them and they listen. There should be that level of respect for senior guys in the community to come around and say, hey, dude, that's not what we're doing. Come on, man, let me talk to you. They
Right.
stop what they're doing and actually listen. Man, that could now look, I've had uncles that can do that. I had my dad. He would most people don't have that. And like you said, they're begging, they're waiting on someone to just sit down or even give them a platform, give them an opportunity to say something. And so somebody can relate to them and then help them through their problem. They need it, they crave it. Where are we? Where are the men that, like you said, where are us? There's very few of us, but why is there only a few of us? We're out here, but like shows like this, I started, with it used to be 5 panel members every show. Now we're down to 1-on-1. Why? Because over the years, guys find something more important to do, or the show don't start at the right time, or something like that. We need to build this program and other programs like it, not the relationship stuff, because that's situationally based. This is
Right.
overall. This is overall in general for men. Like every brother I know and talk to need to be here on this platform, just right here, rap about what we need as men, how to get it. So just that interaction, like you said. When you see something, say something. And men do appreciate that. We hold each other accountable when we do. But most of the time we just don't. Like I said, we just don't get involved. He'll be all right. We'll just leave him to it. So um, but I think I would like to see more platforms like this grow and develop where more guys are speaking to positivity and growth and knowledge as opposed to every show being about relationship stuff. Because whatever. I mean, I'm not I won't waste a lot of time on that. If you're dating, make sure you're grounded foundationally enough to where you can use discernment and pick the right person.
Right.
But you need to do the self work first and have a spiritual covering of some kind to complete all of it, make you a whole person. But you need help to do that. And there are a lot of other men that are helping each other. We do have a comment. Let's see. The great job said there are different situations that present the same thing. The difference is the mindset, like you said. The environment does play a role, but it's the mindset that keeps you poor or in poverty. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, okay. And the environment part is a whole nother show, but it
That
does
is.
play
That's a totally
it's a
different.
yeah, now it does, but that does play a critical role in the development of some men. And a lot of single mother households, there's a lot of brokenness in the household, trauma. A lot of ladies that don't know how to raise men sometimes beat the masculinity out of the
Yeah.
boys because like you said, when they start getting bigger than mom, they start to puff their chest out a little bit. But what we used to call you smelling yourself,
Right.
you know.
Smelling yourself.
And then you puff up a little bit, and then mom beat you back down. You not in my house, and boom, you get the masculinity beat out of it. And then you have to take that secondary role. But if that always happens to you, and you're never put in a position to lead or learn how to lead, how do you grow leadership? How do you learn? You know, put in
Right.
those situations. We got lucky with the military. And they forced
Yes,
us.
indeed.
They put it on you to be a leader. The great Josh did say again, I agree with Broken. He thinks the black community is broken. And Josh is South African, by the way. So
Oh,
so
okay.
you're actually hearing from this side and living it on the American side. He says, I agree with Broken because in my community, the system has played an unfair role that has left us at a disadvantage. Our men are raised by women, as talked about. We lack the education from elders, what we just talked about. And if we do have elders, their lessons come from a time where they believe, where their beliefs are left from apartheid.
Right.
So what we have been passed as knowledge for us has nothing to do with surviving in the current world, which is it's the exact same thing we said, right? From the American point of view. We don't invest, we don't get capital for our ideas, we don't have family businesses. So the route we follow is a broken.
Wow.
That is,
And
Josh, I want to thank you for that. That was simply amazing. That was
that just
amazingly
sums
put.
it. It sums it
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Broken people following a broken road.
Right.
And it's not blind leading the blind, broken leading the broken. Because we can see where we're going. We see the poverty around us. We see
Right.
the brokenness. Just don't do nothing about it.
Right.
Josh, thank you for that. That was an awesome comment. But as you can see, and then I'm talking to the audience for a second, and you can see the similarities in what we talked about on the show, and then what Josh wrote his comment. Same thing. Absolutely no different. We're 10,000 miles away from each other, and we are sitting going through the same thing, same issue, the same life lesson. And it's just black men. This is our situation. This is who we are. And would be saved, yes, but it's going to take a monumental effort, I think, from all of us to do so. And it's a task. So where do we begin, Rob? What's the first step? That's the first step.
We just gonna have to change our approach, make it,
Okay.
it's so many things that are embedded in our psyche.
Mhm.
We know what doesn't work. We
Yeah.
need to make sure that those things don't get out no more.
Right.
At least you won't hear me say it. I won't speak
Right.
on stuff like that that I know that won't work. And
Okay.
but we definitely have to change our approach. We just have to.
And I think the approach that you're talking from my side, I believe, I think that approach, and again, thank you, Josh, for another comment, and I'll read that in a second. Um, for us, I think that we have to leave the why me and turn it into a why not me.
Right.
We have to stop being afraid of what they may do to us if we stand up. If we, I I use the word, it's the Zulu word for king over here. It's King Coast. That's the Zulu word for king. And I say it all the time to people, not because I'm trying to gas them up, but yes, I want you to act that way. I want you to walk like you're a king because you are. It doesn't matter your poverty situation or you're poor or you're broke. Wherever you are, stand like you're royalty. If you walk like you're a king, you talk and act and behave that way. That's what people will think you are. If you show them that that's what you are, that's the way they'll treat you. If you act poor, they're going to treat you like a piece of crap. But if you
Hmm.
act like a king, they have no choice but to treat you that way. And you can't be afraid to get pushback because that's what they're going to want to break you down. Cannot be afraid. We can't stop saying, "Why are you doing this to me?" Be like, "Why not me? I can take it, and I can still stand." And you're not going to knock me down. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lock arms with the man next to me, and we are going to stand up against you.
Right.
If one of us got to go down, the man behind us steps in place, and we keep moving forward. But I'm not going to say it's a dream of mine, but it's a prayer, and I hope that we all get it together one day. I just want us to stop saying why me and start thinking why not.
Right.
We can all make a change together. So, Mr. Rob, I thank you for your time. I do. Um, Josh said thank you for the platform. It's a good way to start talking about it, which that's the way everything has to start. And this is my attempt to branch or bridge Black Americans and South Africans together. Because as you can see, we're going through the same thing. So
Yeah. That was powerful what he said to me.
it is. Got a moth in the office. Um, if we could unite just our voices, that'll be powerful enough because somebody gonna hear us. They gotta hear us
Yeah.
if we get enough together. So I appreciate you taking the time out with me tonight. I'm sorry we had to do the one-on-one, but you toughed it out. Survived.
Never a problem, bro. I can talk for a minute. Trust me.
You survived. You made it through. How tough was it for you? Were the questions tough enough?
Oh no, they were thought. I could tell that some thought was put behind them,
Okay.
and the only way to solicit a decent conversation is to have decent
Mhm.
questions.
Yes, sir.
You
If,
know.
if you only if you only knew how hard it was to come up with these, I brainstorm on these a lot. That's why I only do one show a month. It is very difficult to come up not only with a topic that people want to talk about, which I thought a lot of people would be interested in this conversation, but I think because of the showtime and everything, it's just not working that way. So, but it's difficult to come up with the topics, and even more difficult to get guys to show up and talk about it, as you see.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, because we're just built to not say nothing. They said
Right. Right.
it wasn't silent generation, but I think we're still in that. So I don't think the silent generation ever really ended. So I don't know what we're waiting on. We're waiting on another voice. We're waiting on another Martin Luther. We're waiting on another Obama. And over here, they're waiting on another Nelson, man. You know, what are we waiting
Right.
on? What are we waiting on? We just gonna sit around forever? I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna do that. So that's why, like I said, I don't care if it's just one-on-one. I'm gonna do the show and we're gonna keep talking about it until the world listens. So, anything else before we go out there?
No, it was good. I actually good seeing you first of all, and
Yes, sir. Yeah,
but
it's been a while.
been a while. But you know,
Yes, sir.
I never mind having conversations. I don't back down from them.
Yes,
And
sir.
but no, I mean, I enjoyed the banter back and forth,
Mhm.
and do it again if
Yes, sir.
if the
Matter of
opportunity
fact,
arises.
this is next month. I'm gonna do action versus motion, and I
Okay.
think I'll use the topic of just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're getting a lot done.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so yeah. Next month, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do the same thing. If we gotta do a one-on-one again, we're gonna do it again. But I pray that we get more. I thank you for giving me the time this evening and spending some time in support of the show. I pray everything continues to go well with you and yours and your home.
Right.
Um, and your future endeavors. I know your children are doing some things and got some new grandbabies coming in. Notice you gotta go see.
Yeah.
I do too. Matter of fact, I do too. We got another one coming in April. That'll be number 7 for us. Um,
Okay.
yes, I just hope everything continues to go well as it has been. I hope you continue to support the show. To the great Josh, I appreciate those comments. Hey, they added a lot to the show and give me something to think about as far as the next topic. Because I got to consider South Africa a little bit more in the conversations. I've been too
You
pointed
you,
towards America.
you actually have to because that's where you are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
and hopefully with that, that'll bring more people out in support of the show. But I need to interact more and get more information so I can tweak the show to highlight more South African issues, so our
Hmm.
brothers in America can understand what their brothers over here are going through, and what the brothers over here are going through is the same thing that they're going through in America. We can just
Right.
reach on that level first, we'll be okay. So, ladies, I mean, I keep saying ladies and gentlemen, there are no ladies on the program. So, gentlemen, um, this has been the XY perspective. We talked about the broke man versus poor man, the mindset and mentality of the Black community. A lot of stuff was reached tonight. I hope you will watch the replay. Again, add your comment to the chat wherever you see this replay at, and I'll try to respond to them as much as I can. We need the interaction. We got to get it going. Mr. Rob, thank you again. Josh, everyone that was listening, thank you again. Next month, we're going to do the same thing, action versus motion. And in May of this year, I'm happy to say it'll start year 4. This will be our 4th year in existence. So we're going to do some appreciation to the panel members, the distinguished gentlemen on the panel. And I'm going to show a little love and appreciation for them. That's in May. So keep joining us, keep watching, keep learning, and keep supporting. And I thank you all for your time. Mr. Rob, Mr. Josh, thank you all. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Okay. Enjoy, buddy.
Yes, sir. I will do.
All right.